What's up, Facebook and YouTube in a little while. So yeah, let's catch up. Hopefully this thing is doing its thing. We're back on using Switcher as our broadcast app because I think it does a better job of saving the local stream, which I need for YouTube. All my YouTube videos have been updated, by the way. They're all listed as well on modernsamurai.io, mdrnsamurai.io, which is my main website. So by all means, go over there and you'll always be able to catch up with what I'm doing. So over this last week, I constantly, like most people who are self-employed or whatever, I was kind of going through the list of projects I'm working on, making sure that I'm hitting my targets, make sure that my clients are getting the time they need, making sure that I'm getting the time that I need for my projects. And the result was, I had a meeting on Friday with a customer and we spoke again, and I am working to bring a junior developer on to do work on this project that I had been writing the code on. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Whenever I talk to people about giving work away, because obviously the coding, the money for the coding is money that would have been paid to me that is now going to be paid to somebody else. And I've done this before. You pass on projects, or you pass them on to other devs, or in cases like mine, there are times when I'll hire a dev myself to do work for my own project instead of doing it in-house. And because I can do the work, a lot of people who aren't freelancers or aren't self-employed will ask, they'll go, well, why are you giving the work away? Why not make the money? And it's all about opportunity cost, which is something that self-employed people, freelancers, people that run businesses, this is a concept you become aware of quickly, whether you know the terminology or not. Can I technically be making money doing a particular task? Sure, I could take on a lot of work that I turn down these days for stuff. But what am I going to make? How much money am I going to make within the time that I would spend? And what is that time worth doing something else? So if we put this in dollar terms, something obvious, then everybody knows what you're talking about. So let's say that there's a small job that comes up on, I spot it on Elance or freelancer.com, and the job pays, $100, and it's going to take me 5 hours to do. So that's $20 an hour in theory. But, right now my billable rate is, in excess of 3 digits. I bill a lot more than $20 an hour. So if I say that, would you take a $20 an hour job instead of, $125 an hour job? Everybody understands, and they say, okay, well, fine, you're not going to do that. But if I tell them I passed on, a $20 or $60 or $70 an hour job, and they say, well, why? What are you going to do with the time? And I'm like, well, I just have a lot to do. I'm learning video editing. I'm, working on this particular business possibility. And they're like, well, what is that paying you? And the answer is, that's currently paying me nothing. It's not for a client. There's no money involved. And that's when people get a little weirded out, because they're like, well, at the end of that day, nobody owes you a paycheck, when at the end of that day, they could owe you for 5 hours worth of work at whatever rate it is. And that's where people get messed up. They don't calculate the real value of their time, the real opportunity cost of using their time in a particular way. Yes, I could be doing some billable stuff, but the project that I'm investing in myself, I'm essentially paying myself an hourly rate for, because I think it's going to turn into work or money or a career or enjoyment or a company or whatever in the future. That has a value, and including your leisure time, including your time with your family, including your time doing the things that make you a better person. All of these things have a value, and you need to have some rough idea of what that value is. Maybe not always down to a specific dollar. Maybe you're not thinking of it in terms of, spending time with my family is better than having a $10 paycheck from somebody or whatever. But at some point, you have to decide to do something other than work strictly for the amount of money that someone else is willing to pay you for that hour. If not, everyone would be working 16 hours a day for whoever could pay them whatever amount it is. And that's just not the way we all intuitively know that we're not supposed to operate. So, your word for the day is opportunity cost. I want you to take a look at how you're spending your time, both directly related to business, in the sense of something that you're actually going to get paid for or getting paid for, and how it relates to improving your business prospects or your, the way you can work. And that might be education, it might be training, it might be teaching yourself something, it might be practicing to get better at something, it might be putting together a product that you eventually plan on building a company for. So there's the direct income, the time that I'm going to get paid for. There's the indirect income, the money I'm investing or the time I'm investing in increasing my value. But then you also need to figure the opportunity cost for your sanity, your peace of mind, taking some time off to do the things you like, and your self-improvement, time you spend getting stronger or spending time with your family or your friends or the people you care about. And you have to figure that in too, because at some point that has to be worth more to you than just making a couple extra dollars. Now, you might be able to shuffle those priorities around for a year or two at a time and say, I'm going to really concentrate on my family and not worry about money, or I'm going to really make a bunch of money this year but not, put so much time and effort into my friendships. But in the end, you have to have some idea of what that's worth to you at the time. And then you have to apply that triage to the world around you and how you're spending your time, because it is so easy to get locked into working overtime at the job to make a couple extra dollars, but not thinking about the fact that working overtime at that job means that you aren't at home learning how to get a better job. Working overtime at that job means you're not spending time with your family or your friends, or maybe spending time with your friends means you're not, getting paid. You're not working. You have to have an idea on what that is. And that's the calculation that I make all the time. And in this particular case, when I looked at it, the business opportunity cost of my time, which is the only finite resource that is available to me, it's the only thing I can't make any more of. I can't make any more of my time. I have 24 hours a day. I can decide how I use it. And the rest is just maximizing the value of my time. In some cases, that means I'm going to work for a client for an hour and I'm going to make whatever I make from that. And since my time, currently, I'm fortunate enough that the billable for my time is more than the same hour costs me for a virtual assistant. If I work for an hour and get paid, I can pay a virtual assistant for a couple hours, for more than 1 hour, which means if the things I need to do is stuff they can do for me, then I've multiplied my time, right? I work for an hour, I get paid, I pay them for 3 or 4 hours, I gain 3 hours. And for the stuff that they can do for me, that makes sense, and I do that. But there's a lot of stuff that only I can do. That what I would have to pay someone to do what I can do is incredibly, is out of my price range, or it's 1-to-1 or worse. It might take me 2 or 3 hours to make the money that I would pay for my dentist to spend 45 minutes fixing my tooth, for instance. In that case, it makes sense for me to work and pay him because it would take me 10 years to learn how to be a dentist and fix my own teeth. Or on the flip side, there's a lot of times where I couldn't pay somebody enough to do what I can do in the same period of time. I would have to work 10 or 12 hours to do something I can do in 10 hours. Then I'm better off doing it myself. And when it's something that makes sense for me to do, then I may have to turn down some low-paying work or give it to someone else and do the stuff that is unique to me. That has to be my number one priority for my time. So anyway, think that through. I know I didn't explain it overly well, but really be clear on the fact of what is your time worth in your world right now in the various areas. How are you spending it, and are you really getting the most value out of time? And you may be surprised to find out that sometimes pursuing more work at any cost is not the best use of your time. It's not the best use of your time economically, and it's not the best use of your time personally and in terms of life enrichment. Okay, enjoy. Thanks for paying attention to this rambling post, and I will catch you guys next time.